What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Thirsty Thursdays, a Bruin at McEwen production. Just a friendly reminder, remember to like, follow, and subscribe on whatever platform you may be listening on. I am your host this evening, John Kaplan, and I am joined tonight with my co-host, El Prez, Mark Giardino. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, my man. Yeah, man, we're looking forward to the big start of conference play, and
Yes.
that is coming up this weekend against Memphis. The last time that we did a show was the show with Coach Mole last week. So the Bulls have played 6 games since then. In those 6 games, we saw them win a midweek game against Maine last week via mercy rule. And then they had a 3-game series over the weekend with UNC Greensboro, which ended up being a pretty challenging series. The Bulls split the first two and then dropped the third game. And then in the midweeks, we went on the road to Florida Gulf Coast on Tuesday. Lost that game 3-2 on a walk-off in the ninth inning. And last night, well, on Wednesday night, you're probably going to be listening to this on late Thursday or Friday. But the Bulls were at home. They beat FAMU. So again, 3-3 since the interview with Coach Mole. Season record sitting now at 12-9. Honestly, like my hope coming into the season was that we would be at least 13-8 before the Memphis game. But when you look at what has kind of transpired over the last couple of weeks with Bobby Bozer being out, we've had a suspension. We have a couple other injuries. Rafael Betancourt is supposedly going to be getting an MRI for his knee. So there's been a lot of kind of challenges, to say the least, last couple of weeks. So I'm really not too upset with 12-9. When the expectation was kind of 13-8, at least in my eyes as a fan. But yeah, what are your kind of thoughts on the past week, John?
I think it's interesting that you had projections. I'm not surprised because you're just as neurotic as I am. But I would say that this time last year, I would say that there was a little bit more concern on my end. Uh, with the biggest concern being Bobby Bozer being out, and I mean he had I think over 20 RBIs in a week. Like it was ridiculous what he. I mean, we all know who Bobby Bozer is. I don't need to catch you up on Bozer, but with him being out, the emergence of Stuart Puckett, players players that Stuart Puckett was on the roster last year. He got redshirted, but like we're seeing emergence of new bet. We put up 12 runs last night. I had such a great time at the game with with the wife, the sister, the nephew, and it was just a great. It was an offensive blowout. Round two is the in-person observations. Mark, you were at the Sunday matchup, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Against
so
UNC.
yeah, so I was able to get out to the ballpark on Sunday. I got to see us play against UNCG. A couple hours before the game, I saw that Bryce Archie was going to make his first start, and that was really exciting to see. I was really excited to see that. If you're not familiar, Bryce Archie, backup quarterback on USF football, joined the team pretty much at the last second before the season started. Apparently, he was training with the guys for a couple of weeks leading up to that. But I don't think I ever expected that he would be a weekend starter. But I'm really glad that he is. Kind of like Coach Mole said on the last podcast where we had him on, he said he really likes Bryce Archie, and it's for two simple reasons, and they're very good reasons. He throws strikes and he has good stuff. And that's exactly what he does. He pounds the strike zone. He gets his fastball in there at 94, 93. He's got a nice slider in the mid 80s. Got some feel for a changeup as well. I mean, he is exactly what you want for a weekend starter. And also him being a football quarterback, he's used to pressure. He deals with 280-pound linemen running in at him. I don't think that standing on a mound on a Sunday afternoon is really that big of a deal for him. And it really shows. He was really calm to start the game and got worked through some jams. And um, honestly, to me, that's the biggest thing I saw on Sunday was the fact that Bryce Archie is going to be a weekend starting pitcher for us. He looks like he can do the job, and it could really make a tremendous difference for the rest of the bowl season. And yeah, I think the other thing that I noticed from Sunday, there was another observation that I had on Sunday that was pretty interesting. I had no idea that Dominic Madonna throws like 93, 94 miles an hour. That was pretty cool to see. And that's another guy who has a lot of starting pitching experience. It's kind of unfortunate because the numbers don't look great, and he gets the loss in the game. But man, there was the first couple innings he was out there. I mean, he looked really good. Like looked like,
Electric.
yeah, he really did. And even when he gave up a couple home runs, I mean, it may have just really been location on some of those pitches, a little too centered, and maybe he just missed his pitch a little bit. But but man, like from an ability to pitch and from the tools that he has, uh, 5 strikeouts, no walks, 3 2/3. He ate up some innings. Yeah, he gave up a few runs, but I mean, I think that you're going to see much better outings from Dominic Madonna in the future because he has the tools to do so. And probably my last observation from Sunday is just the fact that I really was impressed with seeing Jackson Mayo in person and seeing the way that he is playing the game right now. Um, he's someone that in years past was kind of inconsistent. He's like completely locked in right now. Like he's hustling on every play. I saw him turn something that could have been a single into a double. I saw him make an amazing catch, diving head first in center field. That I think less than 1% of people in the country can make that catch. Outfielders in the country can make that catch. Yeah, Jackson Mayo really impressed me. So those are my takeaways from seeing Sunday's game. But you were there last night in person to see them play against FAMU. What were some of the things that stood out to you?
There were quite a few actually, to be clear, but I want to circle back on your Dom Madonna talks. I've since pretty much a jump, since I've got like wind on him, I've been a pretty big fan of him. And I remember you texted me like when he was pitching, he's like he's sitting 93, 94. That I mean that is highly impressive, and that's just like it's something we talked about earlier. It's a good problem to have, like I would feel comfortable with Don Madonna on a Sunday start any day of the week. So I also echo your sentiment with Don Madonna. I think that the numbers are not extremely conclusive to his ability, and I just seeing him pitch in person, he's got electric stuff, like I said earlier. But regarding the FAMU game, that was the second straight start for Logan Beavis. He went 2 1/3. He ran into a little bit of trouble, in which Tanner Mink came in, and in the it was the third inning, and we ended up giving up 3 runs to FAMU that inning. But in regards to Logan, his velo is down a little bit, but I feel as though he might have been over gripping. He and maybe rushing down the mound a bit, because he was finishing high on his breaking balls. They were finishing just a touch out. He was very close to having this stuff for a quality start. I don't know if Coach Mole had a bullpen day in his head from the get, but I was actually really impressed with Beavis's stuff, and I thought that I saw. I know personally that I saw progression in all four of his pitches, and I mean he was just missing. He was missing slightly, and Tanner Meek ran into some trouble. Or yeah, I'm sorry, Tanner Meek ran into some trouble, and we were able to clean it up from there forward. But what I really want to talk about is Lawson Gailey. The dude just came in and he had a couple loud outs to start the first inning of relief, and to be honest, as a spectator, as a fan, because that's what we are, it scared me a bit. And he came back out for that second and third inning in relief, and he was so poised, so controlled. He was hitting his spots. The outside river was open with Christopher. For those not familiar, that was the home plate umpire. His name is Christopher. Very nice gentleman, had a very consistent night at the plate. Little to say about him, but Lawson went to school on that. And for me, that is so important as a pitcher. That speaks to his IQ, and that speaks to why he's able to keep run totals down because he keeps the walks down. He had one walk in 3 innings. He gave up 0 hits, and the only run he gave up was inherited. So my any hat that is in my closet, I hats off to Lawson Gailey, and then follow it up with Austin Newton. You guys know I'm a pitching guy, so I'm going to spend more time with pitching. That's nothing. We put up 12 runs. I've already raved about that, but I've got to give credit to my guys. Like Big Newt, like give me more Big Newt. Okay, that's all I have to say. So I mean, between Lawson and Newt, we saw 4 hitless innings, right? And then and then our best reliever and Kyle Scrape comes in, gives up 1 hit, and then we clean up a double play after that. He has a great inning after that. Like I'm really, really, really impressed with how our bullpen is coming together, man. Like I may be a homer. No, 100%. This just in, I am a homer with the USF Bulls. However, I do feel as though like we have not even seen the ceiling of this pitching staff, and that that fires me up more than I can even tell you, Mark. Like the capability, Aiden Longoria. Let me give a shout out to Aiden Longoria. He came out last inning, or last night, sorry, came out to start the ninth. We had a comfortable lead. He ran into some control issues, but I'm telling you, like the velo is there. He was missing by a hair. He was missing by like literally a shred, and that can happen as a pitcher. I can tell fans that can happen on any night of the week. Aiden Longoria has had several quality outings as a bull, and I believe Mark, he's a freshman, correct? Yeah. So I mean, please do not sleep on Aiden. And his mother Mimi is a very sweet woman who will be heard on any broadcast that is televised. But last thing I want to come in with on the pitching is Dorsey. He ran into some trouble on his last outing, but he just came in and slammed the door shut. Mark, like he was sitting 95. His slider had late bite and a lot of it, and the way that he ended the game was an exclamation point. And that's how I'll end it with the pitching. I know Jaden Ross. He was a major contributor last night. Got his first hit as a bull. He had 2 hits and 2 RBIs. Let me give a lot of credit to Stuart Puckett. Stuart Puckett opened the scoring for USF last night. Had a 2 RBI double. Talked to his dad last night. He's a very nice character as well. Couldn't say less about his son. Also, Drew Butcher had an absolute piss missile to right center, and that is the only term that can describe that ball that was hit to right center. I thought it was going out. It was like 13 feet off the ground the whole time. I think it one hopped the fence. That tied the game up. Uh, we had another. We just it was a really good offensive performance. I'm sure I'm missing some people. Mark, you can follow me up on this, but Honestly, I was just elated with how the Bulls performed. Well, I'm still thirsty, so let's go to round three. Round three is going to be kind of just the state of the Bulls. We do a little bit of just where we're at, where we're going, and what we expect to see moving forward every week. So, Mark, I'll kick it to you. What are you sipping on for the state of the Bulls?
Yeah, I got some good vibes honestly overall. I think that there's some really noteworthy the developments that have happened like as the season has gone on. You know, we're 21 games in, so you got a pretty good sample size of what's been going on. And I think the one thing that really stands out is what Coach Mole said earlier in the year about wanting to get that philosophy of being a team that can be aggressive on the base paths and steal bases is really paying off. We're 44 for 55 on stolen base attempts. We're top 20 in the country in stolen bases, and we're converting those stolen bases at an 80% rate, which to me is like a good average that you want to have. It's kind of like the minimum that you want to be at, 80%. And and to be able to do 80% at a high volume, 44 out of 55 is it's very impressive. And I'm really glad to see that something that was planned uh, coming into the year is really coming to fruition. And you saw a great example last night of why being an aggressive team can pay off. Jackson Mayo was stealing third base. The FAMU catcher has to get up and throw down to third, makes a bad throw. Jackson Mayo scores on that, and there's an extra run. At that time, it was a very important run. We were only up 5-4, and that made it 6-4. So being aggressive is can really pay dividends, and it already is. And I think another good thing about this team this season is we've been pretty solid defensively, which I'm actually pretty impressed with considering the amount of shuffling that we've had from different positions and injuries and just trying to find a good fit at third base. But our fielding percentage is second in the AAC right now. I think it's about 976. So that's pretty impressive to me as well. And we're also leading the league, the AAC in on base percentage, above 400. So that's really good to see. It's a testament to the guys being able to draw walks in addition to getting base hits. So there's a lot of good things going on as a program. And the one thing that I'll kind of leave as my last point for this segment is, as you mentioned earlier, John, the pitching staff. I believe you're right. I agree with you that the pitching staff is better than the current stats suggest. The team ERA right now is, I think, in the low fives, but part of the reason for that is Coach Mole has been doing a lot of experimenting with, trying to find who are the pitchers that he's going to be able to rely upon in these high pressure spots. I mean, he's given a lot of opportunities to different guys. I think he's tried out like 20 pitchers already this year, which is a lot. And if you look back at the 2021 season when they made the Super Regional, there was really only a core of 8 or 9 pitchers that were used consistently. So I think that Coach Mole has finally identified that core, which is what you need going into conference play. But I do think it's bigger than 8 or 9. I think it's potentially 10 or 12, and that's only going to be beneficial when you think about the long season, the stiffened competition with the American Conference being harder than it was in years past, I believe. So I think what you're going to see is I think you're going to see this team ERA go down under 5 because you're going to start seeing the pitchers that really have it together. You're going to see them get more work, and you're going to see the guys who have just been kind of turning it on the last week or two, who don't really have much of an impact on the team ERA yet because they're kind of recent finds, such as a Nick Pineda or even a Mason Manriquez who did well against Florida Gulf Coast in his season debut, making a return from illness.
Big shout
Mason,
out.
yeah, Mason Manriquez, Nick Pineda. Those are two guys that can do a lot for this team as conference play comes. They're older, junior, senior. Um, so even Lawson Gailey is just starting to ramp up. I mean, he's only has 9 innings so far this year. That's going to go way up because
Way
he had an injury in the beginning of the year. You're starting to see the a lot of good pitchers being found on the roster in the last couple of weeks that are going to be, and another great example, your Sunday starter, Bryce Archie, he only has 6 1/3 on the season. That's about to go up by a lot as well. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I think that the team ERA does not indicate what I expect the future performance to be because of the new guys we're finding and the pitching staff getting healthier as a whole as well. But what are your thoughts on all that, John?
I think you touched on pretty much everything. I think that a position of concern for us going into this season and seasons even past has been uh, consistency at the catcher position. Um, I don't feel as though we've had inconsistency at the catcher position. I feel as though Mole's been kind of experimenting with uh, what names he can trust behind the plate and what names he's a little bit more uncomfortable with. But last night we got to see I got to see my first performance out of Matt Buffington. He really impressed me, and I got to talk to him after the game a little bit because he unfortunately he exited the game due to injury to his left thumb, which I was able to take a look at after the game. Unfortunately, my doctor wife was 30 yards ahead of me, but my nursing assessment, I think that he's probably going to be out probably this weekend if there's no structural damage. It's pretty swollen, but he had some difficulties bending. But anyways, he made uh, a few really great plays from behind the plate. His pop time seemed really good to me. The only stolen base he gave up, the kid had a day and a half jump. Um, I was really impressed with him, and I think he had two RBIs on the day, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and a very, very, very nice kid. That was actually the first time I'd ever spoken to him. So we're showing Ben Rosenblum, big time Benny, of course, came in and uh, closed out the game for us. But I mean, Joaquin Moncay, Rosenblum, and now even throw Buffington in there. I think we have depth. I think we have the talent there to by the time we're in the thick of conference play, we'll I think we'll know who our guy is. No matter what level you have played at, it is a long season. There are injuries. There is elements come into play that you do not expect. But what you have to do in order to be an elite team, in order to be considered an elite head coach, is you have to be adaptable. You have to go next man up. And um, Coach Mole has not skipped a beat. And my if y'all just heard my dog agree with me, he's echoing what I'm saying. I'm sorry about that. But our we've continued to perform, no matter where we've experienced losses. I think that we have a really good shot at our weekend series against Memphis, and that just brings us into round four. What do you say, Mark? Oh, yeah, are you still thirsty or
I'm good for another round. Yeah.
cool? Cool. All right, one more, please.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so we're bringing in Memphis into town. A very well-known conference opponent that we've been battling for years now. They are an interesting program. They currently have their third head coach in the last 3 years. So it's been a kind of a tumultuous time for the Memphis baseball program. They the coach they had last year did a pretty good job. I think his name's Carrick Jackson, and then he got hired away to Missouri to coach in the SEC. That team is actually really struggling a lot. Makes you wonder if he should have stayed at Memphis. But now the new coach, I believe he's from Southeastern Louisiana, which is a pretty good program. That guy kind of like led for a while. And his first year at Memphis, the team is doing pretty decent. They're a game under 500, I believe. But basically, the profile of this team right now, Memphis, is that they have a lot of power. I think they're top 30 or something in the country in home runs. They have like 37 home runs, which is about twice as much as we do as a team. But that's not really, uh, all defining stat, but it is interesting to note. I think they have the worst, the highest ERA of any team in our conference. So there may be some opportunities, especially if we could chase some of their starting pitchers out of the game early and get into their bullpen. Um, that would really be ideal, especially as the series goes on and their bullpen gets thinner and thinner. Being able to just work at bats and have long at bats and have long innings and force Memphis to use pitchers that they don't want to use, which they seem to have a lot of them. So that would be big. But John, do you have any thoughts on Memphis?
For starters, I don't like them. I believe they swept us last year. Is that correct?
I can't remember actually. Did
I'm
they?
I'm I'm almost 99% positive they swept us, but that's not important because it's 2024. But one big concern for them. I will add to that. Their head coach did a lot of work through the transfer portal, and uh, we all know baseball is a difficult sport. And when you've got a carousel at head coach, that's never a good thing for the program. So for him to be floating throughout 500, good for him. Their Friday night guy is a returner. His name's David Warren. He's got a 4.08 ERA. He's got 5 starts this season on 28 and then 2/3 innings pitched. From what I've seen, he's got the ability to go deep into games, but not a lot of swing and miss stuff. And he struggles with walks. Your Saturday night starter is going to be a left-handed pitcher by the name of Luke Ellis, another returner. He's a redshirt sophomore. He's got a 6.0 ERA in 5 starts this year, 21 innings pitched. He is, however, second on the staff in strikeouts this season with 19. Your Sunday starter, Caden Robinson, is a sophomore right-handed pitcher with a 6.65 ERA. So he's pretty much the roadmap of their team ERA, because I'm pretty sure their team ERA is 6.65 as well. I will confirm that right now. No, it is 6.44. So I was incorrect. Anyways, moving on to their bullpen. Their bullpen's a little bit more stout. That's where they had some incoming help via the transfer portal. Braden Sanders is leading the staff in strikeouts this season. He has 8 appearances and 12 innings pitched and has a 1.5 ERA. The two other names that I noticed were Jake Curtis, who has no walks on the season in 5 appearances thus far. 10 and a third innings pitched with a 2.61 ERA, and Kylan Stepter also with a 2.61 ERA in 8 appearances this season. Are the two other names that I noticed out of their bullpen.
Yeah, that's all we got really on Memphis. You want to kick it to the final round?
The final round is the last call. I just want to remind everybody that we do have a tailgate this Saturday coming up at 11 a.m. We'll all be out there, so please come out and join us for a good time. Looking to open conference play the right way. The only way player shout out that I'd like to do. which is going to involve a few players. Um, I was fortunate enough to bring my nephew Mason, who's a huge USF baseball fan, who pledges to go to USF when he goes to college. He's a big nerd, very smart kid, but he loves USF baseball. And I gave him a Sharpie and a ball after the game. And I think that he probably had his best autograph day that he's ever had. We got Montez, we got Drew, we got Jackson, we got Chandler, we got Newt, we got Scrape, we everyone, like literally everyone. And I just want to say thank you to all the players to help make my nephew's night. Mason would not stop talking about it, and he's already looking forward to coming to more games with me. I'm enjoying seeing. I'm the end all be all for me, Mark, is that I'm thoroughly enjoying the product that I'm seeing on the field. I think that Coach Mole is doing an extremely stand up job. And I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited to see what kind of amplitude we're going to bring into conference play, because I truly do feel as though the sky is the limit for this team if we can get everything going at the same time.
I agree with you. I am very much looking forward to the beginning of conference play, which will be tomorrow, this Friday. And that is going to be at home. So I encourage all Bulls fans to come out. The NIT basketball game is not until Sunday night, so you got plenty of time to come check out the Bulls at the Red, throw your horns up, and support the Bulls.
Um, but I just want to say a special thank you to El Prez, Mark Giardino. Thank you for joining me for another week of Thirsty Thursdays. Horns up, as always, keep them up. And let's pack the red this weekend as we open up conference play.
Sounds good. Go Bulls.